quite grandiose, Myles. Here we go. Your dream for, let's say, Confluence Retreats, or your dream for the industry that you're stepping into when playing a party.
Yeah. I think about this a lot because I think there's so many ways for people to have psychedelic experiences and use them. I like to think that there'll be a future where going on a psychedelic retreat won't be this like foreign thing you do because you have some trauma you want to resolve or anything. They're like, if you look at the scientific outcomes from the research studies, like it seems plausible to imagine a world where things like depression and PTSD and addiction don't really exist. And like, I know it sounds hyperbolic to say that, but you just look at the outcomes where people have a single dose of psilocybin and for 6 months, they no longer have treatment resistant conditions that they've had for 20 plus years. So like in a very optimistic future where these medicines are accessible and legal, people are getting experiences in different ways. I like to think that the retreat model, just for like some of the reasons that you were sharing earlier about your retreat experience, like I like to think that will be a type of annual pilgrimage that people may go on once a year or every 2 years. And just like me, like I use psychedelics in all different contexts all the time. But one reason I love the retreats is because I know how much deeper you can go when you're really being held well and safe, and you don't have to worry about your phone or food, or like it's all taken care of. And so, yeah, I like the idea that in this emerging legal space in the US, where most of the experiences are happening with people in clinical office settings, essentially, and they'll fly to Oregon, they'll get their own hotel, they'll take an Uber to their session, they'll Uber back. Like, I like to think that I'm helping to create a pathway for people to see how you can do the work deeper and more thoroughly in connection with nature, in community. Like, right, like so much of our modern world is we're isolated from others, we're isolated, we're in our heads are in screens, we're in big cities, and we're not really connecting with nature very often. Like, so I like to think like, what's the optimal setting to have a very healing experience? It's like with the supportive community, building bonds in nature, reconnecting to that, I now call the great mystery of the universe.
Mm.
And so like I like to see this project as a organically growing thread of one powerful way to have these experiences in a safe way, and not have it be, as I shared earlier, like a sustainable financial venture, but no outside influence of capital, no, try to go public on the stock exchange, or because as much as I'm sure there's ways to do all that with a lot of integrity, I just think our capitalistic system is to blame for a lot of some of the more complex challenges in the world and the profit incentive. And so I like the idea of separating deep spiritual healing and profit.
Nice. I like the dream. And I love that you said it's optimistically plausible. That when you look at the research that's emerging, that's a statement. Like when you said that statement, I went, whoa, Myles, but it's not that far of a jump to believe that could happen. It takes some societal change and belief systems, but wow, I'm all for your dream. That's what. There's no downside. Is there a downside to that?
If you look at like indigenous cultures that have been using ayahuasca for millennia, like they don't have the same mental suffering we do, because they have a culture that embraces this, and this is their communion, and they do the healing. And of course they have challenges and they struggle. It's like not like a cure-all for everything, but the level of mental illness we have in our society is quite severe. And I think it's like, like the idea that like depression might be something that like my kids' grandchildren learn about happened 100 years ago. Like,
in this snapshot in time. Hey, mate, I'm going to go into that world that you just spoke about. I'm so happy for my 9:30 a.m. client. The energy that I'm going to walk up and give him a hug, to be honest. Awesome. Driven by this conversation with you. I guess the best place is let's go back to the practical nature of these conversations. Not only people can you find Myles on the podcast and go to YouTube, the Joint Dynamics YouTube clips, but if I was to search for you, I would just go Myles Katz. I got your bio off LinkedIn, but also is it Confluence Retreats is where
Yeah,
I'll.
confluenceretreats.org, or you can just search it. It'll come up. Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, and I'm sure we'll put a link to it, and wherever we're posting this. And yeah, we love to just connect. Like, I've had clients internationally come to Oregon, which is awesome. It's not what I expected, but it's powerful that people feel called to do that. And yeah, just I think it's like just at the foundation, just trying to do good work with good people and help them on their journey. So
And that's how we
yeah,
got connected, through one of my mates that I'd paddle out to Round Island with sometimes. George, the guy that I mentioned, he was like a Renaissance man. That's how he connected us, because he has interest in going to do your retreat.
Yeah,
I'd love to do it with my wife. Is that a sensible thing to say? Like, just the way that you shared, and then I luckily for me, I get to see your eyes and your face when you're sharing, and
Yeah.
in anticipation of the story you're about to tell me. And along the way, I went, I'd love to do this with my wife. It seems like it'd be a really cool thing to do to bond even more.
Yeah, we totally, and we've seen this a lot. I'd say, like, as long as it's both people are coming to have their own experience, and like the worst we've seen in couples is like the man typically is dragging the woman, and there's some level of like one partner thinks it'll fix the other partner. Like, that's an unhealthy way to do it. But if you're really both like, we're both intrinsically curious and we want to go together, it can be a beautiful experience. And yeah, you like just set up structures where, like, make sure it's like consented. Like, if someone doesn't want to share about their experience, they want to take an extra day or so, you like allow each other that space and like honor each other that way. But yeah, oh my God, it's such a beautiful experience when like close friends or siblings or partners come, and like, yeah, it can be really powerful.